Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about why your ex is silent. So if you have a silent ex and basically you've been in no contact for a while and they're just not talking to you, they're not reaching out, then there's not really that much that you can do in this kind of situation where your ex is silent because um, let's because there's a concept out there, of like people who are really stubborn. So people who may still have feelings for you, who may want to reconnect with you, who may want to be in a relationship with you, but they're really stubborn and they don't want to be the one that starts the process up again. Like if they're stubborn, if you have a stubborn ex like that, and you know that they still like you, and they're being silent, and you don't really know why, because it's their fault. They're the one that rejected you. They're the one that dumped you, and yet they still haven't connected with you. Um, and perhaps deep down in some way that they do want to be with you, and they're just stubborn about it. So when you kind of have this stubborn ex and they're really silent and they're not really giving you anything to go on, it's really best to just, especially if they're really stubborn, to just leave this kind of person alone and to just let them be stubborn. Like if at some point their feelings override their stubbornness, then you'll know about it because they'll reach out to you. But do you really want to be with someone who is that stubborn? Like who is clearly in the wrong, who still has feelings for you, but isn't willing to apologize or do anything to come back, who's not willing to try, right? And they're just expecting you to do everything. Like, you don't want to be with someone who is expecting you to do everything, right? That's so selfish. Why be with someone like that when there are other people in the world that you could be with who are not like that, right? Now, there's some areas of my life that I'm stubborn in, and there's areas in my wife's life where she's stubborn in. But when it comes to each other, we're not really stubborn with each other, you know. So like for example, for me, like I post a lot of videos on this channel. You can see I've posted a lot of videos on this channel. So in a way, you could say that I'm quite persistent, quite stubborn with not changing lanes or whatever. Like because maybe the stuff that I'm talking about isn't that popular, whatever. My videos aren't that popular. Obviously, there's a lot of people out there that would love to have the view count that I do and love to have the subscribers that I do. But in the grand scheme of things, if you compare me to a lot of like the bigger dating coaches on this platform of YouTube, that I'm not that great, right? But I'm stubborn, so I won't stop, basically, right? I'm persistent and I'm stubborn with this kind of thing, right? So I like to think that I'm stubborn in the right areas, and it seems like this person, if they're stubborn and if they're just silent all the time, they're they're stubborn in all the wrong areas, basically, for you. You don't want someone who is stubborn when it comes to romantic relationships, because that's good. If you, let's say for example, you start apologizing to them or whatever it may be, you start reconnecting with them, yeah, and you're with this stubborn person and they accept you back, and you're together, and you're in this now in this relationship again with someone who is super stubborn. It's going to be a pain in the butt, basically, for you to be in a relationship with someone like that, right? So you need to find someone who's stubborn in the right areas, or someone who's not stubborn at all. Like, but especially when it comes to relationships, because if they're expecting you to be the one that's giving all the time, giving, 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 and they're just the one that's just taking, 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 then that's going to be so draining on you. So the point of like a good relationship is that you both go there to give to the relationship, to make it stronger, to make it better, right? You're not expecting the other person to be doing all the work all the time. Now sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, like it does take someone to be the one that makes the first step. So for example, if you've had an argument, sometimes it does take someone to make the first step to, kind of trying to rectify it, right? That's sometimes something that you have to do. Sometimes you do have to put your foot forward first, be the leader, shall we say, lead the interaction. But ultimately, even sometimes with someone who's really, really stubborn, they won't even, take that, right? They won't even, they will still be, because usually when you take the first step, then they take a step forward as well, right? In a relationship. But if you're with someone who's super, super stubborn, then they're just the one that's going to be just sitting there. You're the one that's going to be doing everything for them, trying to reconnect things, basically saying everything that they want to hear, and then you get back together. And it's like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be with someone who is like that, because basically what you'll be doing in a sense when it comes to the relationship, you'll be burning the candle at both ends for yourself. Like, you're the one that's always giving, but this person is never giving back to you, and so you just feel really just worn out about the whole situation. Basically, you'll be so tired of that relationship. And I've seen relationships like this where there's someone who's really stubborn, and basically they just never apologize for anything, and they just kind of are really passive aggressive, and they give the silent treatment. And I was actually in a relationship with a girl who was a little bit like that, and this was a long time ago, and yeah, it just wasn't fun. It wasn't fun to be with them. And, one of the reasons why I really love being with my wife, and one of the reasons why I feel like we will stand the test of time, is because I actually really enjoy being around her, because she's fun. Like, she's funny. She's, whatever we do together is really enjoyable. And that's one of the reasons why I want to stay with her, because it is fun, right? That's and because I'm also a little bit like that as well, we can just make a fun experience even more fun, basically. But if you're with someone who is passive aggressive, who is silent, and someone who gives you the silent treatment and is stubborn, is not willing to apologize for anything, it just makes the relationship so much worse. Because if they're not willing to work it out, then you're the one that's always going to be trying to resolve things, and they're just not going to be helping. And when you're in a relationship, it is kind of like a team. You need two people to both help, with whatever it is. Like, if there's an argument, if you've had a disagreement, it takes two people to resolve that kind of issue, right? It can't be, there might be some times where you both don't agree, and you have to make a compromise, and you both have to kind of agree to disagree. But most of the time, you should be both trying to resolve it. And like I said, sometimes it takes the first person to do the step forward in order to, and then the other person will, join in. But most of the time, it is a two-way street. Like, it is like you have to come together. It's a team thing. So I personally think if you have a stubborn ex, if you have an ex that is silent, even though it's their fault, they're not trying to do anything to kind of rectify the situation, then you are better off without them, right? Because clearly you're someone who wants to try and make it work, but you know that, hey, you know what, this is their fault. They need to be reaching out to me. They need to be the one that's apologizing to me. They're the one that needs to be putting in all the effort. And if they're not willing to do that, then they're not right for you. You need to find someone who is at least a little bit less stubborn than that, basically. You need to find someone who is at least who can at least own up to their own mistakes, who can at least apologize when they know that they're wrong, right? Who doesn't deny their feelings about you, and just for the sake of being right. Because that's essentially what could be going on here. They still have feelings for you. They probably still want the relationship to work out, but they're not willing to do anything about it. And their ego and their pride is overriding any heart that they may have, basically, for you. Any love that they have for you. They would rather be right than fix the relationship. They'd rather stay in their ego mode than kind of let down their pride and, willing to admit their mistakes. And if you don't want to be with someone like that, because you will never get anything important resolved if you have a big argument in the future about something important. And let's say down the road you guys get married. Just imagine how bad that would be. If they're not willing to help resolve things in an amicable way. It's just messy getting yourself involved with people who are like that. Now obviously this is a more dramatic kind of video. I'm basically trying to hit a very generalized kind of space here with people who are with someone or trying to get back with someone who is very, very stubborn. Because it might not be the case for everybody who's watching this, that the person that they're dealing with is that stubborn. But I kind of need to go from this kind of generalization here. But that's sort of my advice for you. Like, if this is someone who's really not willing to work things out, even though they still care about you, and they're just not willing to let go of their ego and let their pride just back off for a moment, just to just for the sake of the relationship, then it's not worth it. It really isn't worth it, and you're better off without them, in my opinion. So if you'd like to have coaching with me, then please go to www.christinelovridge.com. Thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like me to discuss something in a future video, then please leave it down in the comments. Thank you so much, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye, guys.